Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Covenant Army Podcast, where our mission is to equip couples to align with God and win the daily battle, raging against marriage and family. I am Brent, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Miss Lucy.
Happy New Year, everyone.
How are you doing today, sweet lips?
I'm doing pretty good, aside from the fact that we're having some weird kind of storms in the middle of winter here. Never has happened, I don't feel. It's raining, it's windy, it's crazy outside. And it's January.
Hey,
you never see this kind of weather.
What you going to do about it? But it's 2024.
It sure is.
So, do you have any New Year's resolution? Like anything you wanted to do?
Resolutions.
Goals?
Everybody always talks about resolutions. It kind of gets a little bit old.
Okay, so goals. Do you have any goals that you have? Let's just say for our marriage. Give me one goal that we have for our marriage. And I know you love how I put you on the spot because we didn't even talk about this.
Goals for our marriage?
Yep.
Yeah. Make sure that we find more awesome places to go on our Friday date days.
Yes, Friday date days, guys.
New and adventurous places that we have yet to discover.
Yes.
So I'm putting that one on you.
You're putting it on me?
Well, yeah.
I will take the lead. I will take care of this.
Okay.
Friday date days. I've got a whole list going on in my head right now.
I'm hoping so.
I just can't misplace it.
I can't wait till Friday. I'm going to be surprised.
Well, the podcast is going to come out Friday, so it could be possible that as people are listening to the podcast, we could actually be on a date right then and there.
Okay. You heard it here.
So, it's a new year. It's 2024. Super excited. So, guys, before we go any further, we do want to thank you guys for listening to the podcast. We love it. We're getting a lot of great feedback. So, remember to like, share, subscribe. Because
comment.
It helps. You can comment, too. If they're nice comments. Like, don't give us bad comments. But, no, seriously. You guys are part of this. Yes, we may be doing the podcast, but the more you share it and help us get it out there, the more people are impacted with the truth for God's kingdom, to extend the kingdom and strengthen families and marriages. That's what this is all about. It's not about Brent and Lucy. It's about strengthening marriage and family through this world, being a better reflection of Christ.
Amen.
We need it. I mean, we need him. We need him. So the topic today we're going to be talking about, babe, it's called 8 Signs That You're Falling Out of Love with Your, I'm going to say spouse. Yeah, the article says partner, but I don't like that. I want to go spouse.
Well, it's because you found it in Brides magazine, brides.com.
Hey, man, I find stuff
Which
everywhere.
I found interesting that you were in brides.com looking for an article.
Can't a grown, mature man look at a bridal magazine?
Of course.
And get information that he needs?
Totally. I think this is just the first time I've seen you in brides.com.
Well, we've been married for a few years now, so it's not like we're looking for ourselves.
Right.
But you can find some interesting articles and topics out there because I like to get the other side of the coin. Because I know sometimes in the Christian worldview, we can get so wrapped in it, we lose track with what's going on out there in the world.
Out there.
In the far distant world. In a land far, far ago.
Yes, there's other people that think other ways and whatever. But, I mean, I think it's interesting because there are a lot of couples that I feel maybe struggle in this area. Feeling like they're falling out of love with their spouse.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm going to go further. I think it's more of becoming complacent and you kind of get maybe bored. So it kind of feels like, are we still in love?
Yeah,
it feels a little stale. So these are some signs that you're falling out of love. And
I want to say, for a lot of these that we're going to share with you guys, this is not stuff that just happens right overnight. This is typical. It takes a minute for some of these things start to pop their heads up.
Right.
But if you can recognize them, you can cut them off right at the pass, zero in and target these things and fix it before it becomes a big issue in your relationship.
Yes, you can definitely remedy the situation in the relationship and not toss it out the window.
So, to make sure we don't fall into some of these pitfalls, I guess fall is the word of the day. Number 1 says that you're not excited to spend time together. So this could be a pretty telltale sign that you might be falling out of love with each other.
I would say so. If you're not excited to spend time with your spouse, you may want to kind of do some reflection and find out what's hindering that connection.
Let's talk about, because the key word here that I'm picking up is excited. Because you can spend time together
and not be excited.
Not really be excited.
And that's what happens with some people that kind of become complacent in their relationship. Yeah. And they're just kind of existing together. There's no excitement. There's no adventure, passion, like
Ooh,
laughter.
Passion, I like it. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Yeah, like all that stuff is not there anymore. It's almost like the fire has been put out, and it's just like a little smoke coming up.
Well, just like a fire, how do you kindle the fire? Like, how do you get that passion coming back? How do you get back to that place of excitement? Because it's one thing to recognize, okay, we're not really looking forward to spend time together anymore. We're just kind of doing it. We're kind of in routine.
Which is really sad, by the way.
It's sad, but it happens, especially when you get into that rut of life. Like, you might be married for a minute, you're raising some kids, and they're in that stage where a lot of activities are happening. You guys just aren't connecting on that level anymore.
It does happen.
You go to bed at different times. I'm giving you all the worst case scenario. You go to bed at different times at night, and when you guys are together, you're just talking about business, and it can become very routine and very not exciting. Let's just call it what it is. Boring.
Yeah.
But you got to break out of that. You got to break up the routine. And again, like we always tell couples, what did you guys do in the beginning? What attracted you to each other? What were the things that you were doing? Healthy things that connected you guys as a couple.
Well, it's because typically you've gotten into a season where you're not doing that stuff anymore that you used to do at the beginning. So it just gets a little monotonous and kind of boring.
Yeah, so break up the routine. So if you're not excited to spend time together, you got to find a way to inject some of that excitement back into your relationship.
Yes.
So number 2, babe, what you got?
You're not open with your partner. What
do you mean you're not open with your partner? Break that down a little bit.
You're not open. You're not sharing your innermost thoughts like you used to. You're not being vulnerable with each other anymore.
So I understand from a woman's perspective what you're saying there, but from a guy's perspective, like opening up to his wife and having those conversations and talking about those things, and just kind of closing off and just being in your own world, in your own place. I mean, you hear that a lot with women, right? Like, they're trying to want to connect with their husbands, and they're kind of just there, not really sharing a lot with them, not really connecting with them.
I think it happens when there's distractions that come in.
Yep.
That you've allowed in, I will say, because there is a way to safeguard your relationship where you can continue to be open and connect with your spouse, be vulnerable, right? Have that kind of intimacy in your relationship where you're still sharing innermost thoughts.
So 2 key words that people got to watch out for. For men, nothing. So when your wife asks you, what's going on? How's it going? Nothing. Not a good way to be open. For a wife, you're going to hear the word fine. I'm fine. Another way to kind of close things off and not really open the door to be open with your spouse.
Apparently this is coming from the Brent Howell dictionary.
Is it not true?
Yes, it's kind of true.
Kind of.
No, it's true.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, if you're not sharing in that, very vulnerable way, you need to ask yourself why. What's happened in the relationship that you're no longer connecting in that way? That's
a good point. So number 3 is you seek out opportunities to avoid your partner. This is an interesting one to me. I mean, because if you get to the place that you're actually seeking out opportunities to avoid your partner, I mean, it's not bad enough you're to avoid your partner, but you're actually seeking out opportunities to kind of put that space in between you guys. That's a pretty scary place.
That might be a little scary.
So any examples or anything like?
So I'm not trying to avoid you, so I have no examples.
Well, I'm sure, during our time of, talking with couples, you might hear some of these things. I think of a common one for guys men, a lot is working late.
Staying at work,
picking up extra shifts, doing a lot more hours at work. And typically what you'll see in relationships are, when you guys first get together, man, typically that guy's all in. He's taking off work to kind of make things happen and really woo you. I know that's your favorite word.
It's not my favorite word.
But when things are not firing on all cylinders, you guys are starting to missing each other, that same person might start, picking up a little extra work because we're trying to make a little more money for the family. But the problem is, and that's a good thing I want to say, like sometimes you do have to work extra to pick up, more money and to help the family step further. But if it becomes perpetual and it happens time and time again, where this person is really cutting out a lot of time spending with that spouse, that's something else. Like you should want to spend time with your spouse. Like if you're not wanting to spend time with your spouse, that's a whole nother problem.
Well, when you're seeking out opportunities to avoid your spouse, that means your feelings have maybe changed to a degree.
Like some resentment, maybe.
There's something there that's blocking that desire to want to be around your spouse. So definitely have to have a conversation about that.
Okay. So I don't know what number this is, but the next one is you choose silent contempt over disagreements. You choose silent contempt over disagreements. So instead of us having a conversation and talking about it, we kind of shut down, shut off.
You constantly are kind of keeping stuff to yourself, even though you're mad, annoyed, upset.
Yep.
So all those feelings of annoyance and mad,
the negative thoughts that you're having about your spouse, never really talking about it, and you're kind of just festering in them.
Well, they're festering inside of you.
Yeah, like that's not doing good thing. That is eroding your relationship. It is eroding your intimacy in your relationship.
Well, and I think sometimes there have been people get in this kind of perpetual fighting kind of thing where some people just want to avoid the whole thing. And they just kind of keep it inside and just stay silent. But it's not doing anything beneficial for your relationship to be silent.
Yeah.
So you may have to wait for those times where you're not in a disagreement and address these things that are inside of you to better the relationship, to better the connection, to understand, reflect to understand why you're keeping silent and share it with your spouse.
Definitely. Yeah. Blocking it up is not good. So the next one is you feel uncertain about your future with them.
That's scary.
Can't see a future with them. Like if you're in a relationship, I don't say relationship, if you're in a marriage and you're to the place where you can't see a future with your spouse.
Or you're questioning the future with that spouse.
Or questioning, I guess that's both. That is a big red flag to kind of watch out. Not just watch out, but we got to get down to the roots of what's happening that's gotten us to this place.
Yeah. No, you vowed to spend the rest of your life with this person. And if right now you're uncertain about your future, y'all need to get some help. If you guys cannot sit down and have a conversation to figure out why you're in this space and how to get out of it, you need to seek out some counseling to get yourselves at a different place in your relationship.
Right. And that's one thing about counseling that a lot of people, I don't know if people are really good at hold of this. It's not that you're broken and you're weak and you guys can't figure it on your own. It's just giving, many cases, an unbiased perspective on the situation based on the facts, not feelings, just based on the facts of the relationship dynamic. Right? So you guys can see without all the smoke and mirrors.
Well, what's funny? A lot of people won't go to a counselor because they're like, oh, we don't want to share our personal stuff. But you're going to friends. You're going to somebody to share this stuff. Are they giving you the right advice to help you?
And I love friends, but sometimes our friends are biased.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, that's why you need an unbiased person.
Because it's hard to find a person that your friend is going to be 100% honest with you and tell you not just the right thing to do, but the godly thing to do.
Well, I mean, there are friends out there that are for your marriage that will give you the truth.
And you need those friends.
Right.
Like if you find those friends, hold on tight to them.
Right, because there's not a lot of them out there.
There's not a lot. And you really want someone, even if they disagree with you, they can speak the truth and love to you, that you can receive it.
Right.
So I don't know how we got on that, but we did.
So the next one is you're longing for someone or something else.
I love that. Longing.
I don't know if I love that. If you're longing for someone else.
Well, because, I mean, they could have wrote it, you're looking for someone or something else, which would have been bad. But I think that longing, like you are longing.
That means.
I mean, you are longing for someone else.
That there is somebody that you have fixated on, that you've been thinking on. Because if there's a longing there, that's not just somebody that you saw that was attractive and you're like, oh, that's pretty good, good looking woman or man or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're longing for this person? That almost feels like you have replaced your spouse with this other person in your mind.
Well, I know nobody wants to say it, but that is, again, like if you're in that place, it's a big red flag. And number two, you're probably dancing around adultery.
And you know what? I got to point this out.
Yep.
Not that I'm for everything this person wrote in this article, because obviously we're not in the same sphere of thinking. But she starts this part off with, if you've been in a monogamous relationship with your partner for a long time, it's totally normal for you to develop a crush on someone else.
No.
As long as you don't act on it. What kind of mess? I can't even.
Well, there's all kinds of people out there in this world. And this particular
God
person,
bless.
Thinks that's normal. To me, I don't think it's normal at all myself. I think if you're You know, how's it put here?
You're longing for someone else.
Like you've developed a crush on someone else. You got big problems. Like
yeah, because that means that you've allowed yourself to be open to another person.
Yeah, that is not good.
And it's not normal. No. It is not normal for you to be developing crushes on other people. That's not cool.
Yeah, and it also says innocent crush. I don't think there's an innocent crush.
No.
Guilty. Guilty no charge. Don't buy that, guys. That's
so. If you are in this position that you have allowed yourself to think long enough to long for another person, again, need to seek some help.
Yeah.
There's still a way out of this, but you need somebody that is not connected to you guys to be able to speak into this.
Yeah, and there's another part I'm talking about fantasizing about other people. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
I don't even care if you're watching a television show and you find one of these actors in the show and their character super duper awesome, that's all you can think about. Shut the show off, disconnect your cable, break your TV. Oh, I don't mean do all this, guys, but I mean like stop watching it.
Yeah,
because it's not going to take you to a good place. It's not going to be.
That's a little bit scary right there to be.
It's not going
to that place.
Do well. So the next point is you're overly defensive. This is a good one. Well,
it's a common one.
I was going to say, yes, this is a common one because...
I wouldn't say it's a good one. I would say it's common. We see it a lot, you know...
What can happen to any
in counseling? We see a lot of people that you've gotten to that negative place with your spouse where everything that you see makes you see, hear, experience, you get defensive about with your spouse.
Well, a good thing that she points out here, which is true, I mean, we use this ourselves, is, you know, The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse by Dr. John and Julie Gottman. You know, it's one of those top 4 things that are indicators of divorce.
Right.
In marriage. And defensiveness is one of those things. Because it has such it just really changes the environment of the relationship, of the marriage.
When she puts on here, being defensive means you're shifting the blame onto your partner in every situation as a response to feeling criticized or accused. If you're in that place again, like you're in a place of being deceived because now you're seeing your partner in a negative light all the time.
Yeah, it's not good.
And feeling like you have to defend yourself from this person that has vowed to spend the rest of their life with you. So it's more probably happening in your mind and it's causing you to react this way. So again, time to have a conversation to understand how to move out of this defensiveness that you're in.
Well, this next one kind of goes along with it because it talks about criticism. It says you constantly criticize your partner or you constantly criticize your spouse. This is another one, then, and just speaking on what we just talked about, the Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
Criticism. And I like the way she put it here is it's assault on their character. Like you're coming after them as a person of their character.
That's sad. When you get to this place in your marriage where you're constantly criticizing your spouse, like think about that. Think about being in a space, and all I can think about is, you know, being a little kid and constantly being picked on. That like those feelings that you feel inside when somebody's picking on you all the time and criticizing you. Because when you're criticizing somebody, like that's personal.
Yeah, for sure.
It's almost like an attack on you as a person. So again, not a good sign in your marriage. Definitely showing that you're not at the place where you used to be with your spouse.
No, you don't see them in like, there's no honor and value, right? In that honor and respect, right? When you don't see them as an equal heir in the relationship, you don't see them as an equal partner. You see them as less than. That's why people are critical, because it's the flaws, right? And it's not a good place to be. And again, it's not going to take you to a good place. It's not honoring your spouse, and it's not honoring God, because the Bible tells us that everyone has value in the eyes of God. God doesn't want anyone to perish.
Well, and typically it's your thoughts that cause you to get into this space. Your thoughts is like you ruminating on all the bad stuff that happens. I mean, nobody's perfect. There's no one relationship, one marriage that is perfect.
No, it's always...
Everyone's flawed. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have the ebbs and flows in your relationship. Try not to get yourself in this negative headspace where everything is wrong. Everything that your spouse does is wrong. You have to criticize everything they do.
Right.
If you're in this space, you need to get some help.
Well, yeah, of course. And I mean, Ideally, you're not seeing all 8 of these signs that you're falling out of love. Because if you're seeing all 8 of them, you might be pretty far down the road, but still, it's not hopeless.
Right.
Like every one of these things has some, I'm going to try to use the word antidote, that can turn these things around if you so choose to.
Yeah.
Number 1, I would say, is get your heart right. Get your heart right with God. And help him reveal to you why you're feeling the way you're feeling in these situations and in these moments, in these instances. So he can give you truth to help walk you out of where you're at. Because the battlefield's in your head.
That's what I said. It's all in your thoughts.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. I'm sorry, babe. So I just want to real quick, I want to hit each of these and kind of give one of those, just a quick antidote that we can talk about to kind of turn some of these things around. So the first one was, you're not excited to spend time together. One thing that you can think of to bring into this situation to bring some of that excitement back.
Start nurturing your relationship again.
Mm-hmm.
Start planning some date nights.
Yeah.
Surprise, your spouse with, hey, let's go have a picnic somewhere. Just random.
Well, do fun things. Like being married does not mean you got to be boring.
Right.
Like try to do something outside the box you guys normally don't do that are healthy. And find some ways to connect with each other, because that's really going to make good memories when you're doing things to break the routine. Remember, if you guys are always going to the movies and dinner on a Friday night, that's going to get boring, even though it may be a great movie, because you do the same thing over. You got to break the
monotony
the monotony
of
it and do something different, do something exciting. Go skydiving, do something really crazy.
We're going to go skydiving?
Maybe the one indoor, we'll start there, because, I don't want to die. So the second part is being open with your partner.
You're not open with your partner is what it says.
Yeah, but being open with your partner.
So yeah, how to be open? Well, you got to find out what closed you off to your partner. You got to identify what has happened that has caused the doors to close for you not to be open anymore.
Yeah.
You have to have that conversation, which will open the door again for you guys to be vulnerable again and have that openness.
Okay. You seek out opportunities to avoid your partner.
Stop avoiding your partner.
I was going to say the same thing. Stop it. Stop doing that.
No. Seriously, you need to understand why this behavior is happening in your relationship, why you're avoiding or seeking to avoid your partner.
Yep.
And you need to talk to your spouse about this feeling you're having.
100%. The next one is you choose silent contempt over disagreements. Have the tough conversations.
Yes.
Recognize that anything you hold inside of you, that's just you and that stuff inside of you, can't fix it. But if you bring it to your partner and have the conversation respectfully, now you have the opportunity to resolve whatever the topics that are keeping you guys apart that you need to resolve. So the next one is you feel uncertain about the future with your partner.
Again, that calls for a conversation. First of all, you need to reflect as to why you feel this way. And then share those feelings with your spouse so they can address them. Because if you're not sharing them and these are just inside of you, inside your head, you're not even giving your spouse a fair opportunity to address them.
For sure. The next one, you're longing for someone or something else.
Okay. Okay. This one might be sensitive, because if you're already longing for someone else, it's probably going to be very difficult. If you haven't talked to your spouse about these feelings, which a lot of people don't.
Okay. Well, let me help you out here.
Go ahead.
If you're longing and you're thinking about someone else, simple way is you got to stop doing that. You got to stop allowing you. Hold on. I know you're looking at me.
I know I'm looking at
you. You got to stop doing it. It's kind of like if you're having an affair. You have to cut that affair off. You have to stop it. Cut all ties. Cut all connection to that other person.
But this person, what I was going to say is this person probably needs an outside person that they can go talk to maybe help them break out of that cycle, because maybe they don't know how to break out of the cycle. Maybe they think it's too late.
It's never too late.
I know it's not.
But you got to recognize, first of all, and be honest with yourself.
Yes.
I've been thinking about this other person or this other thing. It is not healthy for my relationship. If I continue to do this, I am going to sabotage this marriage.
Prayer is a great way to break cycles.
Exactly. You want to talk about bringing someone else in? Bring in the Holy Spirit that can lead you into truth to break the chains of this sin that's going to take you down and your family down with you. Okay? Being overly defensive. Talk to me.
Being overly defensive? Okay, why is the person being defensive? What has occurred in the relationship that is causing this person to take a defensive posture? Again, a lot of these require communication, require conversations. And I know sometimes when you're in this space in your relationship, and you're defensive about everything, you're going to need a third party to help break that cycle.
You do need a third party. But one thing I think that can be helpful for yourself, like I said before, have some tools in your tool belt that can help you remember why you fell in love with this person, some good qualities about them.
Right.
Help remind you, even though it may not feel like it, that you guys are on the same team.
Right.
To find out that you guys are in this together. Like you said earlier, like we made a pact to be married together forever till death do us part.
Right.
You have to remember that sometimes when things get really tough.
Well, and sometimes you can't see it if you're in this cycle of defensiveness.
True.
So sometimes you need to go outside the marriage and to speak to a biblical counselor that can bring some truth and shed some light on helping you identify why you guys are in this defensive pattern.
Yeah, because to be honest, sometimes you can get so bad that your thinking's a little bit distorted.
Correct.
And you can't see the truth because of all the feelings and emotions. The last one is that you constantly criticize your partner.
Stop doing that.
Well, I think, yes. Well, to stop doing that, you got to remember, again, like we said, as we're talking to this, we're all equal heirs in Christ Jesus. We all have value. We all have purpose. None of us are greater than anyone else. Like, you have to remind yourselves of these truths, and a great way to do that is look through God's word, right? Something simple as God says, love one another, right? And it's easy when things are great and you're loving one another, but when it's not reciprocated, sometimes it's more difficult. You need God's help to still love that person even in that moment.
Well, and if you've gotten into a pattern of criticizing your spouse, have you stopped to think about how your spouse is feeling when you're being critical of them?
That's a good thing.
Like,
put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah, like, what if it was you in their shoes and your spouse and they're criticizing you?
Yeah.
How would that make you feel?
That's good.
Understand where this criticism is coming from inside of you. And then have the conversation with your spouse. And you may need to apologize, number one, because if you're being critical to your spouse, they're probably super hurt.
For sure.
So you may want to start with an apology.
Sounds good. I like it. I love it. So, wrapping this whole baby up for today.
And this is really quick, real quick kind of snippets. So
it is.
These can definitely be opened up for more conversation
at
a later date.
And
or if you need to come talk to us in counseling, totally can talk about this further.
So 8 signs that you're falling out of love with your spouse. Things to watch out for. Again, guys, you don't have to get so far down the road that it seems like a real huge uphill battle. These are things that you can tackle on a daily basis to help safeguard your relationship and the connection with each other. So, babe, great podcast. Again, we want to tell everyone we thank you so much for listening, watching the podcast. It's super helpful because the more you guys like it, the more you share, the more couples that it reaches, and it impacts God's kingdom.
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to say before we wrap up, babe?
All I want to say is if you feel like you're falling out of love, you can fall back in love. There are ways to fall back in love with your spouse.
100%.
Don't give up.
So remember to share, like, and subscribe. God bless you guys. We love you, and we're looking forward to a great 2024.
See you soon.